All right, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Greene, AMTV, of course, founder and creator, General Greene, hoorah, of the Island Project to islandproject.com. Click the links below. Make sure you join us while you still can. The US dollar has officially collapsed over 40% year to date. Yes, that is right. That is not hyperbole, against Bitcoin. The US dollar and other fiat currencies around the world, like the Japanese yen and the euro, have collapsed over 40% against Bitcoin, Satoshi's creation of the #1 decentralized asset in the world since the beginning of the year. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has soared nearly 70% year to date. It has almost doubled in value since my call at 15, 16K in December, of which I still have a pinned video, and you can find it on YouTube and my official Twitter account, my only official Twitter account in the links below, at AMTV Media, where I warned you would never, ever get this opportunity again, and that was the Bitcoin low, and it's proven to be so. In fact, it looks like Bitcoin 30K is imminent. I believe we will go to Bitcoin 35K, 40K, and also ETH is on the move today. I believe ETH will go to 4K plus very, very soon, and there's a reason for this. There's a reason for what is happening. Again, I thought it was a very interesting way for me to phrase it over the last few days, and I think it's absolutely unadulterated, hard-hitting, and in-your-face facts and truth. If everybody's talking about a US dollar collapse, if everybody's speaking about how we've lost dollar hegemony, if Donald Trump, case in point, listen to what he had to say last night.
Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years. There will be no defeat like that. That will take us away from being even a great power.
If even he is saying that the US dollar has failed, and this is the worst loss that we've ever suffered in American history in the last 200 years, that means all the wars that were ever fought. That means D-Day, World War I, World War II, the war in Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and now the worthless Ukraine war is all for nothing. It means that everything that the United States of America stood for to defend its currency and to defend real value and to defend American companies and businesses and capitalism and freedom and liberty is absolutely over. But I think we already know that. So let's not talk about what we already know. Let's talk about where maybe some of you don't know. We are currently in a CBDC transition, a transition into central bank digital currencies. This is also what they refer to and coined through their propaganda techniques, the Great Reset. This is a transition to an entirely new system. Just like they've introduced AI recently, and the reason why they're touting that is this is a light way to basically pepper Americans and precondition them for the eventual mark of the beast and the brain chips that will be put in your head. You'll see things on the internet now, like make your first $10,000+ a month by leveraging AI. Scale your business's revenue to $1 million+ a year for the first time by doing this with ChatGPT or AI. They're going to sell it as a good thing, and eventually they're going to merge you with technology and with the eventual MOB, which again, I'm not going to get into that subject today, but this is the general direction. This is how they groom Americans' weak minds, not only for the reset, which here's my point. The reason you're hearing about the dollar collapse, even though people like me have been talking about it for, 16, 17 years now, and many others online that you probably follow. The reason why they're talking about it now publicly, and it's going viral all across the internet, all these banks are collapsing, is because not only is it by design, but they're grooming you right now as we speak for that inevitable reset. Here's the problem. It's not something happening in the future anymore. It's happening right now. And I believe many Americans are about to lose everything. I do not believe that your retirement accounts are safe. I don't think that your money is safe at a bank. So I've been telling you for years, banks are trash. I've told you to get out into different asset classes like real estate, which continues to soar, especially out here in prize locations and Maui and Hawaii. In fact, there was 2 articles that just came out last 48 hours talking about that, how prices keep soaring and people just don't seem to understand. Well, my father pointed this out yesterday. One of the reasons is as the United States way of life crashes and burns, as the US dollar sinks to zero, which is what they want and how they designed it, and the rest of the world turns their back on us, their currencies strengthen and go up, just like the Island Project, just going straight to the moon, 1000x, just like Bitcoin. Okay, just like Ethereum, just like soon to be XRP to the freaking moon. XRP army out there, give me a like for that. Keeps going up. Our currency is devaluing. Not my currency, because I don't have trash US dollars anymore. That's going down. And so international money in America's enemies like China, for example, buy all the cheap assets with their stronger dollars, with their stronger equivalent currencies. And so that's what's happening. It's one of the reasons why real assets, why gold is breaking out too. And you should buy gold. AMTVgold.com. We had $2,000 an ounce. It's going to go much, much higher. I think it could even triple this year. Same thing with silver. It's because the dollar itself is losing value. And the other currencies are strengthening. But here's where it's going. People will say, well, Christopher, they're not going to allow the dollar to collapse. You know, they're going to defend the dollar strength. They're going to defend the hegemony, aren't they? Isn't the central bank going to interfere? You know, scumbag Jerome Powell and, his fake teleprompter reading speeches. Aren't they going to announce something? Aren't they going to do something? Yeah, of course. Reset the system. See, I always told you that this would be their game plan because I know how these psychopaths think. You just think like, ask yourself, what would a psychopath do if you were evil? How would you absolutely destroy America and just like destroy real wealth? And that's how I know their playbook. And so I just tell you what their playbook literally is every single day. And so what they're going to do is allow the current dollar to collapse. And then with the new digital architecture that's already been designed through central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, things like FedNow, and even the introduction and working with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP notably as a cross-border remittance transfer payment system, will then give a new system to the masses. But here's again the major problem, the thing that you actually tangibly need to be worried about. They're going to wipe you out in the process. Just like they wiped most Americans' bank accounts in 2008-09, just like they wiped billions and billions of dollars worth of Tier 1 bonds, Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate Bank, and Credit Suisse, as they raise interest rates, okay, and they've barely raised at all. Notice how the system's already collapsing, because that's what they want. As they raise those interest rates, not only has the yield curve become inverted, and what that means is the short-term debt, like 2 years, okay, are actually paying more than a 10-year, or even like a 30-year in some cases. So the short-term maturity debt is actually paying more. And so what's happening is all these banks have to write that off, and it destroys their balance sheet. And the underlying valuation is they have to mark things to market on a regular basis. And so they go to zero in a bank run, because they don't have any money. It's a common misconception, by the way. People think that we have a fractional banking system. We used to have a fractional banking system. We went off the gold standard. We were fractional for a while where there was still a reserve requirement. But since 2020 and the economic financial tyranny lockdowns, there's now no fractional deposit required and no reserve requirement in any of the too big to fail banks. So every dollar you now deposit in a bank, say you're a working class person, you work really hard, you put your $2,000 in the bank, it completely evaporates a minute that you're there. Okay, the amount of total tyrannical tyranny and mass surveillance that they are able to accomplish with a CBDC digitally controlled surveillance system is enormous. Never before have governments had this kind of power. Limiting your purchases, not allowing you to make purchases outside the system, telling you which things you can purchase, putting expiry dates. I talked about this yesterday on CBDCs, which is a very real thing. China's already rolled this out, which forces you to actually spend your money so you can't save. It forces your money into the money supply so you actually spend the fake, worthless digital equivalent into the system. And so this is why, people ask me, they're like, well, Christopher, is my money safe in a bank? No. Is your retirement account safe? No. You could lose everything. Is cash trash? Yes, it absolutely is trash. It's lost 40% of its value against Bitcoin. It's about to probably lose the same against gold and silver, as I expect that to be an epic rise very, very soon. And it's other currencies like the euro and Japanese yen, for example, are in the same boat. But here's what's a little bit different. As the world enters World War III, Finland just joined NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and one of the NATO officials also said that Ukraine will imminently be in NATO as well. As we approach that nuclear Armageddon, which they also want, which I think will be, false flag. And I think basically it's going to be tactical in scope, could be in and around Europe. I've said this for a very long time. Will only be used for more fear-mongering, grooming of the public, and social conditioning, just like what we saw over the last couple of years. Again, I repeat, it's not a coincidence that they rolled AI out, ChatGPT, right after the lockdowns. That's what all that stuff was that we just went through. It was artificial intelligence. There's also deep fakes now, which have been fully implemented into society that are indistinguishable from reality. And they're being used now in real time. I believe, for example, in my opinion, that real people like Vladimir Zelensky, for example, not only gives real speeches, but they also put out fake deep fakes of him all the time. And they're doing this of politicians, they're doing this of the banking class, they're doing this of Hollywood celebrities, and this again is a part of the conditioning process. So when you're hearing things like AI is going to change your life and it's going to help you and it's so good for scalability, yes, there might be some positives maybe from it, like it does some heavy lifting, and it is interesting from that standpoint, but really all it's doing is commoditizing people out of their jobs, people that are no longer needed. And what they're not telling you is that really why AI was designed is to control and manipulate you, and to control and manufacture news, media, current events, your reality, your individual paradigms. I've talked about this for years within social media, etc. And it's really just the ultimate control tool and control mechanism that governments around the world are using, that only they have access to the best of the AI. You'll never be allowed to use the real AI. You'll never be able to use AI, for example, as a trading algorithm to work against retail investors and profit from them, like JP Morgan Chase is probably doing right now in nanoseconds. Okay, you're not going to be able to break through the algorithms to get your media or messaging out, even if it's the truth, in this new manufactured closed society of total surveillance and tyranny. Only the elites will have access to that. But here's the big piece that I want you to take away from today. In addition to the financial side that you need to take action on, you need to join us as a member at islandproject.com. $30K minimum. Read our terms and disclaimers, not financial advice. The only reason you're hearing about AI is the MOB. AI is the mark of the beast. The AI is the chips that they're going to be putting into your bodies very, very soon. This is a biological war, and it's a biological integration of human beings. And this is the definition of the mark of the beast from what we read about in the book of Revelation, which I encourage you to go read about it. It says you won't be able to buy or sell without taking the mark in your right hand or in your forehead. It's exactly word for word for what it says. And we're even seeing this too with new age religions forming around AI, people worshiping the beast, worshiping this artificial intelligence, and it's all a part of the grooming process. So from a guy who's warned about these current events for years, long before they've happened, I'm telling you now, this whole AI pitch con job is only leading to the mark. Because eventually, once they've conditioned you and beaten you over the head long and long enough with that powerful grooming propaganda techniques that only governments know how to implement, and all of this is AI warfare now, that same AI will not only be the beast that people worship, but it'll be the beast that they impregnate inside their bodies and ultimately remove themselves from our eternal King, Jesus, which I encourage you and I command you, as General Greene, not to take. Always stand your ground. We've been through hell the last few years here in America and around the world. Mass financial panics, lockdowns, millions and millions of small businesses forcefully closed that were considered non-essential. And now we're going to get financial lockdowns, capital controls, bank runs. And at the very least, your currency, your worthless trash dollars are going to be hyperinflated to where they're absolutely worthless. And why would a government want to do that? To control you. Because by eradicating the middle class and lowering your standard of living and demoralizing the American people and keeping us focused on distractions of a right-left paradigm, notice how you can be like 15, 20 different, you can identify, I'll just say that word. But the same government in Fortune 100 says there's only 2 political parties. I saw that on Twitter today. I thought that was really smart, whoever put that out there. So you can identify as a frog, guys. Hey, guys, I'm a frog today. Chris, what's your gender? I'm a frog. I've always been a frog. Ever since I was little, I was ribbiting, and I was eating flies. But then they ask you, well, you can only be 2 political parties, though. You're either on Trump's side or geriatric, senile Biden side. That, again, just shows you their con job and the absolute lies and fraud. So it's going to get much, much worse. You're not safe. Your money isn't safe. This is why people needed to stand up peacefully, of course, and just say no. People always ask me, Christopher, well, how were we supposed to stand our ground the last couple of years, Chris? Just say no, dude. Like, that's it. It's really not hard. Just say no. It's like people, I'll go on a rant for a minute. I mean, it's just like people that are so pro these self-driving cars. You know what self-driving cars are going to do in the future? Lock your door during the next lockdown. okay? And it's going to take you straight to the concentration camp and tell you to be safe on your way. I mean, you never want to give your authority, dominion, or sovereignty over to a machine. And so what is the mark going to do to you once that's installed? If you take it, and I pray that you don't, let's call on the Holy Spirit that you don't do that today, and I know pretty much everyone in my audience won't, you will remove your free will forever. In fact, you'll be getting that same propaganda, grooming, conditioning, and lies and mainstream BS straight drilled into your forehead. At some point, whoever's in charge of it just probably turn it off. So we are in a very, very tumultuous time. This is the Great Reset. There's no talking about it in the future. You're in it now. The fact that everyone's talking about the dollar collapse proves that point. It proves you have very, very little time to act, very, very little time to get out of the dollar, very, very little time to become a founder at islandproject.com. And also, for those of you that don't know, click the link below. There's 2 links down there, islandproject.com, our world-class real estate tokenization opportunity, and also my world-class consulting and our team at islandprojectclub.com. So if you just want to chat, you want to book some time, I've only got 10 spots left this month. 10, I think I already did. We've already sold like 4 or 5. I usually do about 15 a month because time is limited. But if you just want to sit down, have a private conversation with me, I'll tell you what I really think. We can talk about your portfolio, how to get out of the banks, where I think it's safe, what my top picks are. You get all my videos at the club, at school, and a whole heck of a lot more. So it's a great opportunity for a private consult. It's only $1,500 to do that. I encourage you to do that. If you're looking to speak with me and you want a little bit more one-on-one coaching, I'm happy to do that. And again, be optimistic. There's a lot of opportunity right now, just like people told me Bitcoin was going to zero. No, the only thing going to zero is your worthless trash piece of crap US currency. That's the only thing going to zero. Whether or not I'm telling you that, or Trump is telling you that, or now the media, or all these bloggers are telling you the same darn thing. That's going to zero. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is up 70%. Many of the other cryptos that I picked at the club, Ajax, for example, man, talk about a ride. What did we go, 20, 40x on that? I mean, some of my positions are up over 10x already since December, and I nearly doubled the Bitcoin holding. You build a portfolio. I teach you guys all this. So to learn more about this, go to islandprojectclub.com. And then also, help us break the algorithms. Get this out to the viewing public. I tried to live stream today, but it just kept giving me error codes. Because again, that's what the mark is going to do to you. That's what these algorithms and self-driving cars are going to do to you. Lie to you, deep fake you, control you. In fact, there was even a report that we've already known. There was a huge, multi-$100 million, billion-dollar lawsuit settled by Johnson & Johnson for their baby powder that parents put on their kids for years that, guess what, causes cancer. Yep, that's right, just like all their drugs do. My opinion, I have to say that. And people don't think what they put into their bodies over the last few doesn't. I mean, come on, guys. You have to be of low intelligence grade not to really see through all this BS and understand the fundamental truth of what's happening. This is a planned disintegration of the United States of America. It is an intentional destruction of the U.S. currency and the petrodollar itself. It is a reset. It is a leveraged buyout, so foreign nation states like China can buy all of our assets and buy America up. And that's what's happening now. They do this on Wall Street. They call them like leveraged buyouts. Well, that's what America is going through. A leveraged buyout, all by design. All the politicians have sold out, and they've just given us to China and the BRICS nations. And now we've got a guy being paraded around like a circus freak act at a Barnum and Bailey show in the name of Donald and Trump. And they're spending all kinds of more taxpayer money on that and the war that America is losing in Ukraine. How about them apples? It's disgusting, isn't it? Again, I tell you all the time, vote with your wallets, ladies and gentlemen. Vote with the winning team. March with your pocketbooks and your feet and stand your ground and make a ton of money with us at islandproject.com. 1000x yourself, stand your ground, build a world-class community, decentralize, operate outside of the system, grow your gardens, homeschool your children, and only kneel for our king and his imminent return. I love ya. Over and out. Links down here and up here and up here. That's islandproject.com and islandprojectclub.com. I'll never DM you. I'll never Facebook direct message you. I'll never friend request you. The only place you can find us is at the links in the official description, islandproject.com and islandprojectclub.com, and also AMTVgold.com. Want to own the Ferrari of real estate? Do it at Malibu. Island Project, going worldwide. Islandproject.com. We are the Ferrari of real estate, cash flow, capital gains, tokenization, so much more. #1 real estate asset in the world, Island Project. We just closed our first major deal. Congrats to all of our members. Get in today, $30K minimum. Own real estate. Get your money out of the banks. Press the ignition. Go 1000X. Do the freaking move, baby! 1000 freaking X! John Greene, Vice President. Give him a call. Dad, your number.
Aloha, everybody. 808-442-2934. Aloha.
Islandproject.com. Fill out a membership application today. Get rolling with us, the good guys, the winners. Get out of cash. It's trash. Go 1000X.